Hello, hey, and welcome to season two, episode two of Lines on the Page. I am your host, Thomas Price. Thank you so much for joining, and happy Easter for those of you who just happen to celebrate in any which way and form. Looks like we already got some people in the chats. Before I do the housekeepings, James, hey, what's up? And happy Easter to you too. I hope you ate all the chocolate that you got. I don't know. Sorry to make that kind of awkward. Um, so today is going to be a really interesting day, simply because I am going to be drawing two very old childhood characters, which are Christopher Robin and Pooh Bear. Before anyone asks, no, it's not going to be the horror version. So let's just go ahead and get that out there. I know people in the public domain want yeah, so we're not going to do that. Want to keep today as easy and lighthearted as possible. However, considering the fact that these are two characters that I've never drawn before whatsoever, so I'm going in completely blind, sorta. I mean, I am using a bit of reference from the original animation, but I am going to interpret it and try to do my own way about it. But before I begin, let's do quick housekeeping. Haven Comics is located at 1871 Slaughter Road, Suite F in Madison, Alabama. And please remember to like and subscribe. Every like, subscribe, clicking the bell notification, commenting, sharing, all of that actually does help us out immensely. We're not just saying it just to say it, it does help. And every little bit helps as well. And if you want to figure out where you can find me on social media, just remember to like and follow me through my link tree, and you can figure out where I am on social media. And I'm going to have this little ticker on the bottom. So I am going to be at the Huntsville Comic Pop Expo in the Artist Alley, table A21. And this piece and a bunch of other stuff will be in my portfolio at my table on that weekend, all 3 days, unless someone ends up buying it at that point, in which case it will probably be there only 2 out of the 3 days. Who knows? So let's get to it. And as you can tell, I've already got, I'm going to switch some stuff around. How can I do it? No. I am so sorry, guys. I'm trying to figure this thing out. Let's do it this way. Haha, here we go. All right. Let's move the drawing cam back just a bit. All right. So if you have any questions regarding any of the materials that I'm using today, please just go ahead and ask. Don't be shy in the comments section. However, I would like to ask if you keep it at least PG-13 at best. That'd be greatly appreciated. I have a feeling that either Tots or Alan's gonna wreck that. But I am using, even though it is bigger than the normal 9 by 12 that I have been using in the past, it is smaller than the 11 by 17 comic board that I use. So the dimensions today is going to be 11 by 14. It's really not going to make much of a difference. Just pulling out a sheet of paper from your printer will also work as well. And I was thinking about what I wanted to do with the, I'm trying to piece this together, but and I'm not sure if this is because I've been watching a lot of stuff that can be considered, evocative, cinematic, whatever. Um, Definitely feeling more mood than I guess I'm trying to be kick-ass. So I was thinking about having Christopher Robin and Pooh sitting on a hilltop and just kind of looking out in the sky and enjoying the day. Figured that would be a good one to go. So, first things first, I'm actually going to be lightly trying to map out the area where I want the hill, and that way I can at least figure out where the characters are going to be placed at. Y- Whenever we're doing artwork, especially in comics, sorry, I had to get a sip of soda. Um, Whenever we just happen to be doing, uh, you know, artwork and we're learning for the first, time of trying to do stuff, we never really do the backgrounds first and then fit the figures on top of that. It's usually the other way around. And I've been, for the last couple of years, have been just trying to do things just a little bit differently. Um, and just doing the backgrounds first and then fit the figures on top. That way, you're not putting yourself in a hole that you can't get out of. So, per usual, just mapping out the the estimations of where his body is going to be sitting. And of course, I am going to be, I don't, I don't want to say that I'm pulling a LIFO because that sounds really bad. And that would mean that I'm not drawing hands or feet or both. Uh, but because he is going to be sitting on the hilltop with Pooh as well, um, there's going to be a decent amount of grass. So there's going to be some slight coverage right here at the bottom. And I'll put that in later. Um, but figure that that should be roughly where it's going to be. I actually had a conversation earlier today, actually. We were talking about uh, Naoki Urasawa, who, if you do not know who he is, obviously, judging by the name, he is Japanese, and he is a uh, not just a manga artist, but also a writer. And it's typically, you know, drawing everything that he is also writing with his books. I don't think he's really done any strictly writing only duties. Um, but if you've never read or watched any of his stuff, I do recommend it. I think there's only maybe a handful of things, and by handful I mean like less than five things that would be considered um, not for kids. The first one being Monster, which is a psychological thriller of sorts, and change up his stance just a little bit. But we were on the conversation about Urasawa because someone in a Discord server that I'm in had posted um, a scene from Monster uh, regarding a character and a really good scene. So Urasawa definitely knows how to create tension and drama, and just knows the right time to show how to draw the person in, especially when it's in a, you know, not really like a cliffhanger kind of way, but more like a uh, great, what's the plot twist. But the other thing that is true, and I kind of joke about it sometimes, but Urasawa, when it comes to drawing characters of any age, is about as one for one as John Bashima is when it comes to drawing horses. There is just some kind of, believability, I guess, whenever he draws uh, characters. You know, it's just so a perfect example would be like 20th Century Boys, because it goes back and forth between two different timelines. Whenever the group of kids that the story focuses on, of course, they're all, you know, probably not even fourth, fifth grade, and then the rest of the story is set, you know, further into the future when they're all adults. And I don't want to say that it's like a sci-fi version of it, because that gives off the impression that there's, some really weird, uh, clown from another world, nightmare fuel sort of thing for people that want to be reading it. It's not that whatsoever, but there is the parallel of, with that, the first portion of it is, set in the 50s, and then the other portion set in the 80s when the characters are adults. But um, no, in 20th Century Boys, I think it's only like a 20-year difference or something like that. Um, and it's with, robots and uh, psychops and all that kind of stuff. I don't really want to spoil it, but definitely recommend it. Um, and I know he's recently, and by recent I mean he did Pluto, or he wrote and drew it as a collaboration thing with Soma Tezuka, which I don't know if he did it before Tezuka had passed or if he did it with the okay of the estates. But it's basically a storyline that exists in the Astro Boy uh, Metropolis world. And I know that there is a recent anime of it. I haven't watched it, but it is in my watch list. And I believe Monster is also on Netflix as well. But uh, think that is going to be good. And then I want to put Pooh probably about right here next to Christopher Robin. Now, the one thing that I want to do regarding drawing Pooh is that I want to do the won't exactly do the Disney version, but I am going to do the uh, story version. Uh, or I guess the original version where he actually looks like a teddy bear. Which that's not to say that he technically doesn't uh, in the cartoon, but I have pulled up a couple of pictures regarding that. I'm just hoping that I get that correct. I might not. We shall see. Don't exactly all my time drawing stuff like this. But I actually had a conversation earlier um, today because I was actually no, this is going back as far as like last, not Saturday as in yesterday, but the Saturday before that. I was trying to map out a couple different things that I wanted to do and have ready in time for the expo. And one of those things was trying to do some Disney stuff. So there is going to be, um, and by Disney I mean, classic Disney like Beauty and the Beast. So, and that's partly because the voice actress for Belle, excuse me, is going to be there. And top of that, I really love Zootopia. Um, Probably love the puns in that movie more than anything else. But I really did the character designs with that. Um, and I also have some Robin Hood and Little John, which I am almost done with the pencils on that piece in particular. And I will be, of course, those things will be in my portfolio for the expo, and we'll definitely have those things scanned. Which, by the way, you're probably wondering, what about the Wildcats piece that unfortunately had to cut that first episode short? And the pencils are all done, just has to be inked. And I probably won't get um, the prints of that in my hands physically until probably Free Comic Book Day. And that's also including my banner as well, which I am no stranger to not having uh, a banner. I just hate the fact that I'm missing one. It's been taking me so long just to get it together. But by the time that printers are all done with Comics Wellspring, it probably won't get in my hands until after the expo, which is totally fine. Um, but as far as the prints are concerned, that is the Wildcats prints will definitely be in my hands for Free Comic Day. And I'm hoping that I will also have them in my hands in time for the expo. If not on day one, then definitely by or before day three. This is the part that's going to be interesting. So, like I said, Urasal is just really good at not just drawing kids that look believable in terms of like you can tell that they're obviously a kid, and that's something that you don't really see very often in Western comics because everyone is drawing characters that are like over 18 and under 45, excluding Captain America and Wolverine. Uh, they may not look it, but they are so much older. Um, I want to say that Captain America is supposed to be like what 90 something, and Logan is like over 100, depending on continuity and whoever is writing what. But the other thing that Urasala has definitely, um, I guess, taken me to school, if you will, is the fact that he can also draw extremely convincing uh, older people. I just he knows exactly where to put the wrinkles, crow lines, or sorry, crow's feet, um, just all of that. He just knows how to do it, and it's fantastic. And I definitely recommend any person that is uh, any person that wants to read his stuff. I would say start with 20th Century Boys. Um, it's very PG-13. I definitely recommend it. It's got very lively characters, a lot of plot twists. I can't really compare it to anything that really exists in um, current media. But like I said, I hate to use the parallel of it because it does go back and forth between um, 20 years worth. But I would say it's a good start. You know what? Instead of doing the polo shirt, yeah, so I'm going to give them slightly modern T-shirt, but maybe a baseball tee. Yeah, that sounds good. Give them sure I got Pooh's ears correct. It's going to be decent amount of back and forth on that. But really been having fun. Just trying to learn how to do, I guess, my take on the classic Disney style, and of course the Zootopia thing as well. So I've really been enjoying that. And I've also been uh, working slowly on the layout for a Gravity Fall piece. And, again, really enjoy it. I think I've nailed down Grunkle Stan and Waddles, uh, which, if you don't know who those characters are, Grunkle Stan is the grand uncle of the two characters, Dipper and Mabel. And Waddles is a pig that Mabel wins in a fair of sorts, uh, and Gravity Falls. I want to say it's like, I don't know, episode 3 or 4, I think. It's the episode where they come across the dude that's time traveling, and they kind of make I don't really want to say like a Scott Pilgrim reference of sorts, but uh, no actual spoilers. But the time travel guy ends up getting picked up by I'm going to call them time cops, if you will. And I want to say the names of the cops are supposed to make fun of uh, Stallone and Schwarzenegger. All right. Um, Now, the hardest thing about having to figure out the Gravity Falls characters is that Dipper and Mabel are actually twins, and so having to uh, I don't really want to say that I gave them the same face, but I wanted to make sure that I guess they were recognizable enough. I think Christopher Robbins would be a Converse type of kid. All right. So we got someone else in the chats. Big frozen eyes does wonders for your super old soldier health. Yeah, yeah, definitely does. I wonder if I should turn Pooh's head just a bit more. I think I do that. The funny part is that actually, I guess the first like I don't want to call it like a magical bear thing, but um I actually remember seeing Paddington Bear first before seeing Winnie the Pooh. And I enjoyed both of them equally. However, Pooh was always getting absolutely hammered in honey pots and stuff like that. And which, part of the charm, part of the character. But with Paddington Bear, I think it was more with I'm not sure if it was just like the British charm or what, which I'm not even sure if the whole Winnie the Pooh series. What's the name of the author? Dragging up just a little bit. Um, I'm actually critically looking through Wikipedia. Let's see, Milne was yeah, A. Milne. I'm not sure if he was British. Not. Yep, yeah, he is. Okay, learned something new. Just don't remember him ever having like a British accent. Christopher Robin, that is. But all the characters had adventures and hijinks, and um, it's all just wonderful fun. But don't know what it was, but it was just something with Paddington regarding orange marmalade. That, I guess it just speak to me more. would hopefully throw in a border. And of course, there's going to be some clouds in the background because why not? Let's see. Okay, I want to swap over to a slightly denser pencil and just quickly go over some lines. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to, sorry, quick sip in. Want to give a shout out to Damon Harris. I mean Damon Hawk. Damon Hawk. Sorry, I said that just egg him on just a little bit, but forgive me some really awesome suggestions as far as a couple different things to possibly uh, fill up my portfolio, and also to Reed Beeman for mentioning possibly drawing something regarding Delicious in Dungeon. I think that would be another fun one to, I guess, do my take on. And I know I've got the layouts for some Baldur's Gate um, stuff as well. Mainly Shadowheart, Karlach, and Asterion. If I have time to do Gale, I will definitely um, try to see if I can manage to draw him as well. You know what? I think Christopher Robin would be the kind of guy who would have spurted grass in his mouth. And no, that's not a euphemism for marijuana. Montague Allen. All right, so this is probably going to be the most tedious thing possible, which is drawing grass. However, when it comes to something like this, you don't always have to draw every single blade of grass unless you are that much a masochist. Then by all means, please do so, not stopping you. Um, but I'm going to be letting the brush pen do some of that heavy lifting for me. And the reason that I'd rather have the brush pen doing it is because it's you know super organic. You're going to get some interesting lines. If you've never used a brush pen before, I do recommend either starting out with the pencil pocket brush or the much larger. Gosh, I forgot exactly what this other one is. I know it's Pentel, but I just don't remember the name of it. But they are touch sensitive, so please be wary of that. Um, I like both, but you do have to be careful. Where you just happen to be using it. All right, to the inking phase. Let's see. You're probably wondering, why am I only doing just the outline? And the reason being is that I am just carefully laying down the outline one part at a time. That I go in and use different thickness pens to establish line weight. Which, if you don't know what line weight is, there's a couple different ways you can look at it, but it is to establish depth and sometimes distance, sometimes the importance. What you're supposed to be looking at. There's an earlier episode in season one where I have talked about line weights. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, you can find it there on the Haven Comics YouTube page. Now you can get a varying degree of line weights with using, uh, brush or even a nib pen. I mean, like a true nib pen. So um, they're sometimes also known as like a crow quill pen, I believe. But the most common one that you would see in comics is uh, the leader G pen, which there's a couple different size nibs uh, from that. And of course, they sort of operate like a finer version of say a brush or a brush pen, uh, but obviously it's a piece of metal, and it also has its own idiosyncrasies. And at some point in life, I would like to try one of those out. But knowing what I'm using so far, and that's totally fine. Oh, that's a really good question. Do I go to a thicker lead as I transition from draft to finalize? Technically, yes, I do. However, there have been moments where I've literally gone straight from draft to final, without using um, thicker pencil or anything like that. It's rare when I do, and it's only whenever I would say that I'm in rare form, um, or I know exactly that whatever it is that I'm working on has some sort of um, uh, you know massive amount of negative space, or uh, basically, blacking out a giant area, and then I'm just only going in to touch up a couple things here and there with white ink or a different pen, or what have you. So, case in point, the that Nancy Callahan that I did last February is a good example of just going from straight from draft to final. But when it comes to say doing interiors, I definitely take it in stages, and trying to make sure that I'm not uh, missing something, um, or I guess accidentally feeling a little bit too overconfident in my abilities, and I've got to slow down and figure out everything that's going on. Which there are very rare occurrences where there are people in the industry that will literally go from draft to finalize on a comic page. Um, One of those people I could say straight up is, well, one's pretty obvious, and that's actually Frank Miller. He actually talked about uh, Sin City specifically. That even though he, did like, thumbnails and layouts and stuff like that, he knew exactly what to do, where to go, and um, was confident enough in his abilities that he was able to go from draft to final. And then that's literally what we see today regarding Sin City. And uh, I guess a more contemporary person would be Mahmoud Asrar. And he's done stuff from, I know he's done X-Men, Avengers, Hulk. Um, I know he did two runs of Conan with Marvel. Both of them were, I want to say Jason Aaron was the writer on both of those. Um, well, specifically Conan and King Conan. And I know he's done a bunch of stuff, but could have sworn that whenever he was working on King Conan, there was a time lapse. Sorry, I've got the hiccups. Um, there is a time lapse video where he just literally just goes from like super loose um, sketch, draft, whatever, and just went straight to town with the inks. He knew exactly um, how the face was supposed to look, the the lighting, clothing, all of that. And it was just absolutely impressive, just to see those videos. Which, I mean, he could have kept those secrets all to himself, but nope, put it out there, share it to the world. And I'm grateful that he actually did that. But yeah, that is actually a very, very, very good question. Um, it's not something that I do often at all. It's very rare. As far as just like, um, you know, work for hire stuff, bigger commission pieces. I like to make sure that I've got everything in place because trying to, establish a scene, if you will. Yeah, that was actually a really good question. Thankful for that. Uh, I know. Well, I don't really want to say. There's been a few times with some of the stuff that, which, given that they're not like super spoiler related, but whenever Daniel Warren Johnson will go on his live streams, which, by the way, if you're not reading Transformers, why aren't you? Secondly, if you don't know who Daniel Warren Johnson is, why don't you? Um, I have been preaching the gospel of Daniel Warren Johnson since like 2017. I was around the time when an Extremity came out, which, by the way, I hate the fact that I wasn't able to sign up for the Kickstarter for the signature edition of that through Skybound, but I'm pretty sure um, there may end up being a copy or two of that through either, um, if not Stuart Rang's books, then possibly Felix, maybe. I'm not sure. But, anyways, sorry, kind of rambling. But there's been a couple of times whenever I watch Daniel Warren Johnson's YouTube page, and he'll just have this loose draft idea, and then he just go straight to town, uh, slapping ink left and right. It's my mind. So as you can see, this Brushman, it's got a lot of well, it does have a lot of ink through it, but um, it's not a thin tip whatsoever. So, you know, all it takes is just a little bit of, uh, a flick of a wrist, basically. Now, the one thing I do like about this particular brush pen versus the Pentel pocket brush is that I'm able to do some dry brush effects with it, but I do it sparingly, and that's just because can't always control the way that I want the dry brush effect to go, which is fine. actually read an interesting. Oh no, it's not really like a anecdote per se, but I guess a confession, if you will. It's actually from John Mishima, uh, who is by far um, not only one of the most quintessential artists of the golden age and also the silver age of actually no, I don't think it would really be golden age era. I think he wasn't hired until like maybe the what early no late 60s early 70s, so I think that would be silver age I think already. But anyways, one of the top dogs at Marvel, uh, you know, through the Avengers for quite some time. But he is also one of the quintessential uh, Conan the Barbarian artists during the Savage Sword of Conan. And these were like what we would consider as oversized um, books. And one of the things that he had talked about was regarding the reasons that absolutely loved drawing Conan the Barbarian was the fact of um, I'm able to use a brush without a ruler, and the less straight lines, the better. And it just kind of cracked me up just to hear this, you know, top dog guy at Marvel is just like, yeah, I don't like rulers. But that's not to say the fact that he never did use them. I'm pretty sure that he did use rulers whenever he was having to do like panel boxes and stuff like that. Um, but now, in order for me to approach this area, that's going to be, I guess, like dirt, rock, whatever, and it's going to be leading up into the grass. Instead of pushing or doing a line going from the top down, I'm actually going to be doing my line from the bottom up. Um, and that's going to give off the effect that, uh, you know, well, I guess I'll just go ahead and show you. So, which this area is going to get blacked out anyways. So if you do it from like top down, as you can see right here, the thickest part of the line is going to be where you started, and the thinnest is where it ends up ending. When I do in reverse, oh, that was terrible. There you go. So the bottom part right here is obviously thick, and then it gets thinner up there. Now you can fix up these lines using white ink, either with a brush or gel pen or um, those Uniball Signa rollers. Really been enjoying using those. So As you can see, I'm just kind of giving off the effect that there is, it's like an ending of sorts. And I'm going to be going back in with my micron and just going to hatch in these areas right here just to create a bit of a gradient. If you really want to get, I guess, like a masterclass, if you will, of sorts regarding, um, different techniques of hatching and grades and stuff like that, there's a couple different pieces of media that I can definitely recommend. Um, First things first, um, highly, highly, highly recommend that you guys, um, especially if you're doing comics, pay attention to who the inkers are for some of your favorite books. Um, 9 times out of 10, it's usually a separate person than the actual artist himself. Um, but there are some artists out there that are just as adequate as any inker on the face of the planet. But again, it just really depends on the piece that you're, the piece of media that you're searching for. So, if you want to do all the capes and tights and all those guys, I'm pretty sure you're going to be going after the 90s era. I know too many people focus way too much on Scott Williams. There's nothing wrong with Scott Williams, and just keep in mind that um, if he wasn't inking Jim Lee, I don't think that he would have gotten the same amount of recognition that he did. Um, and it's really not a hot take. I'm just stating that I don't think that he would have gotten as you know, I guess a good of an artist that he got ended up paired up with, I should say. Okay, good. It's working. Um, so I don't think that Williams would have been able to survive trying to ink Liefeld. Um, just saying. Um, But I would definitely recommend Sandra Hope, Richard Friend, Joe Rubenstein, Klaus Janson. Um, who else can I think of off the top of my head? Obviously Rachel Dotson. Uh, Kevin Nolan, even. There have been more than enough times that Nolan ended up doing a lot of inking when he wasn't doing pencils for whatever projects. But uh, you know, like I said, definitely recommend. If you're doing comics, just take a gander as to some of your favorite books. Who's doing what? Um, and what is it about their inking style that it just makes you go, man, I really dig what they did with this issue, and um, or they're just peanut butter and jelly um, with said artist. Jonathan Glampian. That's another one. I know his name doesn't really like roll off the tongue, but uh, it's definitely someone that I would also recommend. I'm not sure if Jock had any um, prior inking experience, or if he was just, I don't know. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud and putting these random particles everywhere. But yeah, I'm not sure if Jonathan Glampian had. Sorry, not Jonathan Glampian. If Jock had any prior just solo inking uh, stuff, but like uh, with Richard Friends, I mean, he did ink a bunch of people during his time with Image. Everyone from Travis Charest to oh god, what's his name? I think he did some stuff with David Finch. I'm not positive on that though. Um, I know he did some stuff with Chris Bocciolo. May have done some stuff with J. Scott Campbell. Not positive on that, but with all the people that he has had the privilege to ink during that time period, I know he has learned probably the most from Travis, and that uh, some of that has, I guess, influenced some of his decisions with his own art. But if you can't get your hands on, I guess, any sort of comic, which I don't know why you can't, but let's just say for kicks and giggles, you're not able to. I definitely recommend the Comic Artist Guide to Inking, which I want to say it's in its, I don't know, fourth edition, I think. Um, but I definitely recommend that book. And that book has helped me think about stuff differently. Um, because I'm thinking about, um, if I'm working with a team, there's going to be a good possibility that I might not be able to do my own stuff, inking wise, and when I have to work with someone, well, that person has to understand um, what it is that I'm doing whenever I'm inking, and it's definitely up my game, if you will, and I definitely have learned a lot because for the longest time I just couldn't understand how if I'm penciling something, it looks great, and then I try to ink on it, and it just looks like hot garbage. And then all the questions and doubt and all that stuff just kind of starts creeping in, and you're not sure what's going on. But yeah, that book has saved my butt. Um, it's very informative. I don't think it's cheap. Um, but if you can find a used copy of it, um, either through like Amazon or uh, any bookstore that just happens to have like a really good art book section. Um, if you are someone that's like a student at like SCAD, um, highly, or hell, if you're a Kubert student watching this, uh, pretty sure they would have told you to pick up a copy of that in a syllabus somewhere. If they don't, I'm highly surprised. But yeah, I definitely recommend that you pick that up. Now, for any of the longtime viewers, probably wondering where is my inking glove? Well, it's in the wash, so I'm trying to be extra careful to not smudge anything on here. For any of the new viewers who have no idea what the inking glove is, but it's something that I put on my right hand whenever I'm inking so that I don't accidentally smudge the ink either by accident or whenever I am erasing. And it's really nothing fancy. It's literally a uh, marching band glove that you can pick up in any store that just happens to sell marching band equipment. I'm pretty sure you can find one online. I know some people that do digital art, they use the one that comes with their, Wacom or XP Pen or Huion or what have you, graphics tablet. Um, but yeah, I would definitely recommend, picking up one of those. Uh, all I do is that I cut the first two top sections of the finger, and that's just because, oh, and the thumb, and that's just because it's just easier for me, for my skin to hold on to my pen or pencil, and because whenever I have the fabric on, it just slips out of my fingers. It may not be for you; every person's different, um, but I like using them. Of course, I get a lot of Michael Jackson references uh, whenever people have never seen one. But as far as I know, Annie is okay. All right. Oops, I had no idea that this thing was drifting off that much. I'm sorry, guys. All right. I was wondering why it was at an angle. Hopefully it'll stay. All right. Now I'm going to go back in just really lightly, and I am going to just map out some quick cloud coverage. Not sure if I want some fast clouds like that. Let's, I do want them loose. I do want to keep the border just a bit. Uh, All right. Before Ian gets a slight case of vertigo, I'm going to spin this real quick. If it'll let me. Tighten up the screw just a bit. All right, awesome. Let's that'll work. All right. The best part about drawing clouds, smoke, vapor trails, what have you. It's just how loose and carefree you can try to make it to be. Although I try to avoid situations like this right there. So I'm going to try to make it look like it's part of the particle effect. There we go. Right. And all right. I cannot remember the last time that we've been able to finish piece from like start to finish completely inked. But yeah, which I am going to have to erase some stuff real quick. think one last thing that I want to do is another pass at the outline, just to thicken up a couple of areas real quick. Right. And of course, last but not least, spell your name. And we got it. Duper duper duper. Happy about this. All right. Thank you guys so much. This has been fun. It really was a lot of fun. And it also makes me extremely happy to the fact that I was able to complete an entire piece in less than 2 hours, which normally doesn't ever happen. Um, so, with all that being said, thank you guys again. If you haven't been noticing with the little ticker on the very bottom, it's just to let people know that I will be at the Huntsville Comic Pop Expo that is coming up on April 12th through 14th. That is a Friday through Sunday. I will be there all 3 days at my table in the Artist Alley. But before then, just to let you guys know, Haven Comics, which is where I'm currently sitting at right now with this nice Hulk poster right behind me, is located 1871 Slaughter Road, Suite F in Madison, Alabama. And our store hours are, uh, well, you can find those online, but we are open Wednesday through Sunday, unless stated otherwise. And please remember to like and subscribe Every like and subscribe, clicking that bell notification, sharing, commenting, heart reacting, what have you, that helps us out immensely. It really does. We're not just saying it just to say it, it actually does help us out. And if you want to figure out where you can find me on social media, you can just type in T Price Artworks in the search bar of your favorite social media place, and 9 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, you'll definitely find me there. Uh, and also depending on how active I am. But all that being said, thank you guys so much for coming out tonight and watching this. Hopefully, we will have another episode within the next, hoping the Sunday before the expo. That is the hopeful part of the next episode. And we shall see what we're going to be getting up to with that as well. All that being said, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your Easter night to sit and watch and also chime in. And I will see you guys later. Bye.